Donna from the Evolve Co. Here I am recording another episode of the Born To series. Today it's Born to Swim with my very special guest, Rees. Really looking forward to this conversation. For some of you, you may have caught on my social media channels that I'm recently relearning how to swim myself with my first open water event coming up at the end of June, which I'm a little bit scared of. Anyway, here I am with the right man in the room who's going to make me feel motivated, inspired and capable of taking on that challenge. So hi Chris, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you very much, Donna. We should have done this in a pool really, shouldn't we? But the acoustics don't work quite as well on poolside, do they?
It's a really good point. And talking to which, we were saying this morning, and I'm so up for this, you're actually going to take me out swimming soon. We're going to hit the sea together, practice all the tips that you can give me today. I'm so looking forward to that. And in fact, Chris, I just want to say, let's be open and honest with the listeners, shall we? That this is actually Born to Swim Take 2. We had a go at recording this back, I think it was at the end of March. We had a few little technical glitches. But you know what? It is certainly worth waiting for. So here we are, Born to Swim Take 2. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation last time, and if anything,
me too.
It's only inspired what we're going to be talking about today. So thank you ever so much, Chris.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Fantastic. Really looking forward to it. So, do you know, I was thinking this morning, this podcast, Born to Swim, and my conversation with you, I could have really have done with this about 12 months ago when I decided to relearn how to swim as an adult, undoing all the bad habits I've learned, and particularly overcoming a fear of putting my face in the water, which was the main thing. I literally didn't feel comfortable in the water. I could have really done with that podcast then, but I'm also really pleased that I'm having it now because I've got my first open water event coming up in 2 weeks. And to be honest, Chris, I'm not ready for it. It's 3.8k, the River Arun. I've only swam about 1 kilometre in open water. And so I think this podcast today is very timely. It's going to be inspiring me and helping me to get through that swim. And I know it's going to be inspiring so many other people who perhaps have either, dipped their toe in the water, perhaps inspired by lockdown, maybe they're getting back into swimming, or some people very much like me who are new to the sport.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to our conversation. So Chris, first of all, though, tell us about yourself. Tell us a bit about you.
Oh, where to start? Well, swimming related. So I learned to swim when I was about 2-3 years old, so I was quite an early water baby. And I'm very pleased I started at an early age because it then meant it opened up so many doors and opportunities to do other water sports and just feel confident and safe on the water. And I think where I now do sailing, kayaking, all sorts of other stuff out in the water, if you don't have that level of confidence when you fall in, you're confident enough to be able to either swim back to a boat or swim back to shore, I think that can affect how people can enjoy themselves in other water sports as well. So learning to swim from an early age was really, really important for me, which is really good. Fast forward sort of 13, 14 years, became a swimming teacher when I was 16, was working at a local leisure centre, just sort of enjoyed the whole buzz and the excitement of being able to see someone learning to swim and get that experience of just floating in water and then be able to move in water and then move efficiently in water, which is just a fantastic thing to be able to teach and to be able to work with young people and with adults as well, which is really good. So when you talked about coming back to learn how to swim, it's quite interesting how many people never learned how to swim when they were at school in the first place and how that's kind of affected their sort of confidence and what they could do with the rest of their lives as well, really.
So true, Chris. You know what, that really resonates with me. I have like a vague recollection of doing swimming lessons at school, getting the brick from the bottom of the pool and doing...
Wearing your pyjamas in the pool, for personal life saving, because you always wear your pyjamas when you go for a swim, right? Yeah, it never made sense to me, but never mind.
Of course you do, exactly, yeah. All of that stuff. And then I think I didn't swim very much after that as a youngster, not compared to some. There were some people at school that were part of clubs and they were swimming on a regular basis, which sounds like you.
Yeah.
You said, you're a water baby. And that wasn't my childhood. I did maybe other sports.
Yeah.
And then swimming for me became, lying on a lilo on holiday as a teenager and things like that. And then it was only when I recently got into or thought about giving triathlons a try, I thought, right, now is the time to take on that fear. And I will very much, that I don't say that lightly actually. Without realising it, I had then developed a fear of the water.
Yeah.
And you quite rightly you said that there, that you learning to love the water from a young age opened up all these doors, enabled you to do all these sports from a young age. That fear of the water is a real thing. Do you see that in many people that come to you for swimming lessons?
Yeah, and you can see fear for numerous reasons as well. So it's one of the only sports where you end up stripping down to your underwear, basically. You're in a bikini, you're in swimming costumes, you're in your shorts on poolside, you feel sort of very exposed. So for adults, there's that fear of being self-conscious on poolside, which can be a big thing, especially around body issues. But everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's in the same poolside. Everyone, has the same experiences. And when children come from an early age, children don't have a concept of drowning or fear of water. It tends to come from parents. So if parents are starting to teach their children how to swim, or they want to get them to do swim lessons, we see it on poolside where the parents are nervous, sort of clutching the edge, and children can pick up on fear, and they go, well, why is mummy worried about me going into the water? And it's probably because mummy or daddy can't swim, never learned how to swim. They're worried that their little darling's about to go into the water, and actually it should be a nice, fun, exciting sort of opportunity and time for the children. And it's a chance for them to be able to build up confidence around themselves. It's a good way of keeping fit, great way of keeping movement, and also just that sort of freedom in the water is lovely, and it gets you away from sitting in front of a computer screen, playing games or an iPad, etc. as well. So that fear element comes normally from the parents, or unless the child's had a bad experience as well. But fear is a big thing that's going to put people off swimming, but for different reasons at different ages as well. And that's something we try and explore, break down and build up to. And we've had swimmers who, I think one of the oldest ladies we had was 67 years old, and she was going to go and swim with dolphins. She wasn't interested in doing, front crawl or back crawl. She just wanted to be able to swim comfortably and build up the confidence. And for about 6-7 weeks, we sat on poolside. It took ages. Like the first lesson, we managed to get the toes into the water, but she was just, you could see like the fear in her, how she was sort of clutching, and the whites of her knuckles where she was gripping so tight to the pool edge. And even just stepping down those steps to get into the water was a huge psychological kind of battle to get over this fear that had built up over her whole life. So start early, get in there, make sure your children are confident in the water, but even as adults, just get back into that water and build up to it, which would be cool as well.
Chris, do you think it's harder, or does it take adults longer to get comfortable in the water, to learn technique perhaps than children? Do you think it takes longer?
Yeah, I think children probably got a bit more of a carefree jump in and just go for it. They haven't got as much coordination control, whereas if you're an adult, you can start to work on your core. You can start to, if I tell you to tense your stomach and bring your legs up, you know how to move your body properly, whereas 3, 4, 5-year-olds, they've got no idea what their limbs are doing. They're kind of floating around and just having fun. And that's a great way to build it. But I think with adults, that kind of experience of picking up the coordination, you kind of need to know how your body works, how it feels in the water. You experiment and you play more. You're more sort of conscious about what your body's doing, but then also on the other side, you've got more mobility problems, or it might be you've got aches and pains that children don't have just through age and experience as well. So it's just getting that kind of getting that mixture between getting over that confidence barrier and then getting into it. But if you're physically fit, you do running, cycling, all the other elements of triathlons, getting you into the water, the biggest thing for adults tends to be to do with their breathing, where they tend to kind of end up doing sprinting when they should be doing a marathon. So if you're doing your long distance swim, your breathing and your breath control will be the biggest thing to kind of be aware of and focus on. Because if you imagine a Paula Radcliffe trying to go at the same speed as Ewan Thomas doing his 400-meter sprints, they just won't be able to keep up for that long distance. So it's how you alter your breathing, how you change your breathing, your breath control, which is a big thing for a lot of people to make the biggest change in their swimming as well.
You hit the nail on the head there with me. It is my breathing. I think those, that I have still now, I'll be honest, it's easy to say, easy to see on social when at the moment I'm doing the odd picture of me post-swim, on the beach, and it looks all very like, oh wow, she must be making lots of progress. But the truth be known, it's not always pretty. I went out for a swim last week and in the sea with a friend of mine, and we were swimming against the tide. And literally, it was the longest, toughest 15 minutes of my life. And it was very choppy. So lots of waves.
It's like swimming on a treadmill, right?
It was like swimming on a treadmill, And I love being in the water. Like you said, what's really surprised me is I always thought I'd enjoy swimming, but I didn't realise I'd get such a buzz from it, and I really do. And I've definitely got this pull to keep going back for more. But I have to be honest and say, I've been working at it now for, like I say, about a year, not constantly, but on and off. And there were times, just like the other night, when the conditions were a bit challenging. And there's that moment when you're in the water, and that breathing technique, everything you should be doing went right out the window. And that is my biggest challenge, my biggest barrier still actually, is getting that breathing. And what would be, because it's so crucial, like you said, to swimming, it is everything, isn't it? It's the rhythm, it's everything. if there's someone like me who is struggling with, getting that breathing, for example, front crawl, getting your breath every 3 or whatever it is you're working on, any tips for somebody to try and move that forward?
Yeah, and we talked about this in the first one where we talked about sort of mindfulness, and we were talking about how you kind of control your breathing in terms of just in a daily life, and how swimming can be very therapeutic to people because they're spending their time just sort of concentrating on their breathing. And I find swimming very relaxing because I've got breath control. I understand how and when I need to use it. If I'm doing a 25-meter sprint to go and be competitive, I've got a different breath control when I'm just doing sprints, links in the pool. So that breath control is a big thing, and doing things like mindfulness or calm, where you just kind of spend time just focus on your breath to get your breathing under timing, which is really good because you don't tend to be going all hell for leather in swimming. It tends to be a nice streamlined stroke where you get a bit of propulsion, and if you've got buoyancy aid or if you're wearing your wetsuit, you tend to have more buoyancy anyway, so just a smaller bit of propulsion can keep you moving forward nice and streamlined. So you shouldn't be sprinting all out the whole time. It should be that more calm marathon running style, getting your breath into a nice controlled bit with endurance as you're going through as well. But I definitely say something like, I use Calm app, and Calm app is just 10 minutes each day. Think about your breathing, and if you then have that in the pool, it's nice and relaxing. There's no distractions, there's no noise. I find it very therapeutic being in the water. It's lovely.
Oh, Chris, you're inspiring me. I'm going to keep going at it because I have had those moments, like you said, of pure exhilaration. And then there are just those other moments of maybe frustration where maybe I'm putting pressure on myself to be too much like Rebecca Adlington too soon, and beating myself up. But what you said makes perfect sense there for me, and I'm going to really take that on board because I know that I try and attack it perhaps a little bit too much. Whereas something like running, I ease myself into a run. I don't try and sprint and then carry on sprinting for 5 miles. So it's about slowing it down, isn't it? Slowing it down, giving yourself time, also almost in a way to kind of make friends with the water. That's how
just feel comfortable in the environment, and just if you get used to it, if there's it starts to pick up the conditions, just go with the flow. Just go with it as you go through. It's just enjoying what you're doing. We quite often go swimming in the River Itchen up near Bishopstoke, and the flow of the river coming down, especially after heavy rains in the weekend, is literally like being in an endless pool. So we go nowhere. So you look at the Garmins and go, oh, we've done 50 metres. We haven't. We've been there for sort of half an hour, 40 minutes, but it's just, you've got like your own natural kind of environment. I think the lockdown has helped where more people have gone back to being a bit like what their parents or grandparents have talked about, where you're going exploring, you're outdoors more, and people are making the most of sort of having access to the waterfront and the rivers that we've got around here, which is really cool. So we're in a beautiful part of the world. We're very lucky to have all this on our doorsteps as well. And whether we use Stokes Bay, weren't you? Yeah. And Stokes Bay is a lovely kind of like natural, relatively safe kind of like swimming area as well. There's people around. You've got good sort of sightlines of where you can get to. It's a bit choppy when the waves start to pick up. That's good training as well, so it's all good.
It's the wave machine. The wave machine.
Exactly. Yeah, people pay to go to that, and you get it for free, which is good.
That's really true. So Chris, you mentioned earlier the benefits of being a water baby, the benefits of getting into swimming at a young age, and how it enabled you to take on and enjoy all of these other water sports. And actually, maybe you now recognise that some other people perhaps don't have that in their lives, or they feel nervous about doing that type of stuff, again, me being included, because of not having that confidence in the water. What other ways has swimming changed your life, would you say?
I think open doors from an early age. I think I was rubbish at sports, so in terms of playing football, I can run up and down a lot, but if the ball came towards me, I just like to run and just sort of shout your name out so you feel like you're part of the team. But really, if the ball came to me, I didn't know what to do with it. So I felt like I didn't sort of get on particularly in terms of that sort of sporty side. Whereas being in the pool, because I learned from an early age, as soon as we came to our national curriculum lessons, I was the one who was doing lengths underwater. I was the one who could sort of swim around. It just sort of showed a different side of me that gave me a big boost of confidence at quite an early age, because I had that ability, and it kind of gave me a chance to sort of showcase what I could do, which is really good. And then I think the swimming element of it, just that experience where you're helping someone who's nervous. You have to have that empathy, you have to have that sort of confidence feeling for them to be able to say, you're going to be safe, everything's going to be okay. And that sort of experience of someone being able to give you that trust is quite a big responsibility to take on, especially if it's someone's little darling, or if it's an adult like yourself coming into the water, about how you build that element of trust to make sure they feel confidence in what you're doing as well. So I found those skills quite useful to use just in your day-to-day sort of business lives as well, because you need to make sure you've got trust and confidence in people with my operations and what we do. And we purposely picked the magic number 3 for our swim school. We've only got 3 in a class because it just felt like it was small enough to be a group, a nice social environment, but also enough time to be able to spend individually with each swimmer, so you can actually build a rapport and build trust. Whereas other swim schools have got sort of 12 on the pool side, they just do a length for here and there. It's like number 1 off you go, number 2 off you go. Whereas actually you can build that rapport and trust, which is what swimmers need. They need to have that kind of confidence boost from a young age to be part of it. And I think that made a big difference to me as a child going forward. So I felt more confident going into secondary school and moving up to the next stage. And then going into business, I started the swim school when I was 18, and be able to go and sort of book pools, booking teachers and booking people who are older than me to come and run the operation was really exciting. So it just gave me that confidence boost when a stage that I felt like I needed.
So Chris, tell us, how did you start your business? How old were you when you started?
So it was 18 when I first started and sent across the first booking form to the first swimming pool, which is quite exciting. 17th of July 2004. It's like ingrained in my memory because I had to sign the small print and sign my life away, which is quite scary. But I did business studies at Peter Simmons College, and we had to do a feasibility study of a business. And the business I happened to choose was a swimming school because I thought it'd be interesting. My old school, King's School, had a pool there, so I had to do all the research for it in terms of booking forms, teachers, payments, accountancy. Put together this lovely feasibility study. Said I'd be a millionaire by the time I was 21 from this swimming empire I was going to build. And I got a B, I think it was a B+, and I was like, could definitely do this, could definitely be a millionaire, and off you go. So I decided to send in that booking form as soon as we finished college. Started at 18, I'm 36, still not a millionaire, but I think my poor business studies teacher was right giving me the B+ rather than the A, because maybe the finances weren't quite right for that sort of thing, but it's gave me a lot of opportunities.
Chris, when you were working on that project at Peter Simmons, did you have an inkling that you were actually going to create this business, or initially did it feel like it was just a project? Are you just going through the motions like we all did at college? I mean, just to see the incredible business you have now built because of that time at college, was there an inkling that actually this could be something? No,
not really. And I'll be honest, even 4 years afterwards when I finished uni and came back out, I wasn't really sure what to do with my life, and I was like, well, this little swim school sort of ticking over and building up, maybe I should do something with it. And decided to sort of expand that. Went to becoming an STA tutor, so I became a tutor to teach other people how to teach, and I find that really exciting because you can then get the next generation of how they would then teach swimmers, and you help to build their confidence up as a teacher to be able to deliver that and to be able to build up that confidence and trust with the swimmers as well. And those courses have taken me to Middle East. We went to Qatar originally, and I spent 1 week in Qatar. Did a great course with Adrian, who taught me how to be a tutor. Did a course there, and then got a phone call about a month later going, Chris, as the Middle Eastern expert, do you fancy going back out? And I was like, I've only been there for 5 days. I'm hardly the Middle Eastern expert. And we ended up doing, it was great. We spent 12 weeks in Saudi Arabia building a national swim program and pilot scheme, which was fantastic. Everything from having the right equipment being brought over, life-saving equipment. We did life-saving courses, teacher training courses, and then at the end of that scheme, it was then being able to be self-sufficient so it could then continue to grow to create a national swimming program, which is really cool.
And where are you thinking of taking your business next? Where is swimming going to take Chris Rees next?
Oh, good question. So the swim school's now been in operation for 17 years. The triathlon events came off that, and they've been going for 12 years now, which is really good. The teacher training side of stuff, we're now one of the largest teacher training providers on the South Coast, so we've trained just over 1,500 swimming teachers in the last sort of 10, 12 years. Where to next? We probably need to redo a video that we did. So there's a video on YouTube which is I'd like to teach the world to swim, which is a bit of a Mickey take of the Coca-Cola advert from the 70s. Well worth a search and a Google view, but we need to update that. But next stages, I don't know, good question. Very good question. I need to have a little think about what the next plan is, but probably to continue with doing what we're doing and continue to help to teach the world to swim, which is the whole idea of it.
I just love that, Chris. And Tammy, do you still get the same buzz today teaching somebody to swim, like say whether it's a 4-year-old or whether it's a 40-year-old? Not quite 40, but I'm on my way there. Do you still get that same buzz today?
Oh yeah, very much so, because it's that personal thing. it's that relationship with that person when you help them to build up to explore something new or to find out something new. And whether it's the 3-year-old who has that realization that they're not going to disappear in the water and they suddenly start to float for the first time, or they do their first swim across the pool, and giving them that sense of achievement is really exciting. But also with the almost 21-year-olds who are learning how to swim as well, is that buzz of being able to give people that same confidence, but just with an adult, it's a very different setup. So they might have had reasons for not doing it, but they've now got a reason why they've come to us. So children, parents say, I want my child to swim because it's an important life skill. But for adults, it's more a case of there's something inside that I need to do. This is what I'm going to step up to go and do. And it might take some people longer than others, but they're determined to be there. No one's forcing you to come to adult swim lessons, so it's something mentally you know you want to overcome. And I think with people's psychology, everyone knows you should eat well, you should exercise more, you should spend more time away from screens, but people don't do it. So, you know, you can do as much promotion as possible about getting people to be fit and healthy, but you have to want to change to be able to do it. So when adults come to us, there's something I really like and connect with adults, because they know they've got a determination to change something about their lives. And swimming might just never have been high enough on the priority list. It might take you to your 67 and you want to go and swim with dolphins before you finally contact us, but there's just something where something's clicked inside someone's head and they went, I'm going to do this. And it's that level of determination which I really like. And if we can help somebody to achieve their potential and to push themselves, it's that, you know, you've taken the first step, you've made the call, it's now our responsibility to be able to help you achieve your potential as well, which is cool.
Chris, I absolutely love hearing that, because I know I certainly had those concerns, and speaking to other people who are new to swimming, it's interesting where you might go to a swim teacher and in a way, especially as an adult, where we overthink, don't we? We do get a bit self-conscious if perhaps we're not picking things up as quickly as we would like to. And there comes that point sometimes, and I certainly experienced it with the person that was teaching me, who did a fantastic job. And you know, but there comes that moment where you almost feel, whether it's embarrassed or feel bad when you feel like you're not progressing.
Yeah.
Could you tell us what that's like from the swim teacher's perspective? If you're working with someone who you can see is trying really hard, but they still just can't quite get the breathing right, or still can't quite get the stroke right, you know, from your perspective, what are you thinking as their swim coach?
We feel the frustration, first of all, so we want you to succeed. It's not just a case of stick your onto floats, kick your legs and up and down. But swimming teachers want to see you succeed as well, because that's the buzz we get from it as well. It's not just, you know, it's that buzz and that excitement of seeing you achieve as well. So it's a joint shared effort. It's that joint, we've achieved something together, and be able to see you swim and go through it all. So we feel the frustrations, we feel the pain. And with our teachers, it's nice where you can kind of go away and you go and think about, well, this didn't work with Donna, but how would this work? Could we go and try this bit? And maybe if there's problems in, you know, open water, let's get you back to a pool for a bit so we can focus on that one particular element. So it's not a case of, you know, pushing you too far. It's making sure we bring you back to something, practice something in particular. And it is practice, practice, practice. There's a lot of repetition, but there's some nice quick changes we can make, and I can guarantee that, you know, for most adults we can do a quick change where we can just sort of change one thing that will just suddenly make you more streamlined that you probably aren't aware of, because we get a better view. We're watching from poolside. If you've ever done video analysis, you can sort of get a good view and you go, why is my leg doing that? And you've got no idea what your leg's doing or what your head's doing, but if a teacher can see that, spot it and bring it up, it can make a huge difference to your swimming. So we feel the pain, but we also like the challenge to be able to help you to achieve that as well, which is cool.
I like that, and I really think that's something that everybody needs to take on board, because I think when you're there and you're pushing yourself and you feel like you're letting yourself down, and there are those moments where you feel like you're letting your swim coach down as well, but just nice that that's great reassurance to those listening that person at poolside, they are willing it for you. They really are, and they want it for you as much as you do.
And you need to do what you do, which is to set yourself a goal. So you set yourself a big, scary goal, which is, I'm going to swim 3.8k. And I could see when you first did it, you're like, I'm going to do it. But you've then worked backwards to how you get to that level. You've pushed yourself forward, and it gives you that extra level of determination. So the lady swimming with dolphins had a date for the holiday. It was a little bit shorter than I wanted, but it was a case of, this is what I'm going to do. I need to do this by the end of the summer. Whether it's doing your first triathlon, whether it's doing your first open water swim, whether it's swimming the whole length of the river around, whatever it might be, it's just set yourself a goal, and then you can then start to work backwards with the coach. And coaches like that because it gives you a definitive end goal. Our teachers then can then help to build a schedule around it to then say, this is what we need to achieve by this stage to help you get to that next bit as well.
That sounds Fantastic. And do you know what, Chris, you got me thinking, brilliant segue. There's one amazing tip there. Book yourself a goal, have something you're working towards that you and your coach can work towards together. Give me 3 more. Give me and the listeners, I need as many tips as I can get, but give the listeners and I 3 more tips when you are brand new to swimming. How do you get started?
Well, first of all, slow it down. So have your goal, have your in mind what you want to do, then slow it down. So many people get into the pool and they think by smashing out the fastest 25 metres is going to impress the swimming teacher, but you've still got another 59 minutes to go for the rest of your lesson. It's a case of best stroke is the best thing, and it tends to be if you're more streamlined in the water, you use less energy, you can be more efficient so much quicker, and you move through the water much quicker than someone who's thrashing around and putting into it. So just slow it down, concentrate on your breathing, think about what your body's doing in the water, it's just achieving that sort of strokes and how you get a more streamlined sort of power through the water as well to be nice and streamlined in the water. Yeah, 3 more, and we're up to 2.
I think that was pretty much 3.
Is it? Yeah.
Fantastic. And there's been so many dotted throughout this conversation. I really like that. You've really got me thinking. And just really in closing then, Chris, anybody who's listening to this podcast, again, I feel like I'm with you, everybody listening, because I thought about going back to swimming or relearning to swim for a long time. I'm talking over a decade before I finally did something about it. And you're right, my moment was I had done a lot of run events and I wanted a new challenge. So I looked at a triathlon and I thought, oh, blimey, now, Donna, you do really need to learn to swim. And I'll be honest, my first triathlon, it was Blenheim Palace. So, you know, that was the first one.
Lovely one as well to go for.
Yeah. Very pretty, very lovely location. I totally undercooked the swimming lessons. I literally only had about 3, considering I hadn't had any swimming lessons for years. Anyway, to cut a long story short, just about made it over the 750 metres of that lake. It was doggy paddle. It was anything I needed to do to get across it. And when I got out of the water, I made a promise to myself, Donna, next time you're doing this properly. Found someone to teach me, and it was fantastic. She's now actually gone off to have a lovely baby.
Cool.
So she's, I know with her, and she would sing your praises. She's very much for me now coming over to the Wessex Swimming School. I would love to have some swimming lessons with you guys. But just coming back to, I know how it feels for people listening to this podcast. Perhaps either they have thought about it for a long time, or maybe they haven't thought about swimming, but actually now they thought, I want a new sport in my life. Please tell us, why swimming? Why should people give swimming a go?
In this modern world where there's so many noises and distractions around, in a swimming pool, you have your own time, your own headspace. You've just got a perfect bit of calm and serenity that you can get involved with. And whether it's your own space in the lane, whether you're out swimming in a river, out in a lake, this is what people need, is just to have that calmness and serenity in life because it's so busy. So I think it's just a good break to get away from it all. You need to get involved, you need to get swimming. We could use all the cheesy phrases like you need to jump at the deep end and just go for it, or start off in the slow lane, build your world up. But it's so important, I feel, just for youngsters and for adults. Just if you know how to swim, confidence booster, calmness in your life as well to be able to escape and get away from it all. It's those things where in a busy modern world you need to have self-confidence and you need to be able to have some time to yourself as well. And swimming gives you that excuse to be able to go and do that whilst burning calories and keeping fit as well. It's a win-win-win, right?
Chris, you know what? Very, very wise words. I think I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely wonderful. So people have to go and give it a try. Chris, honestly, I've really loved our conversation today. It's been a real pleasure, and let's catch up soon. In fact, let's go for a swim.
I was just going to say, that's what we're going to do for podcast number 2.5 or 3, right?
That's exactly
get in the water and go for a swim.
That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to make it happen. But Chris, thank you ever so much. As always, a pleasure.
And you too. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.